Hey, so I want to talk about race. There's been a lot of stuff going on about race, and at first I wanted to stay out of it, but I realized that I have something to say, and I think it's actually really important. So I'm lucky enough to have grown up and lived in societies and experiences where I have not experienced the degree and depth of systematic, violent racism that other people have. And that's great. I'm grateful. And I don't want to deny or downplay at all that those incidents do happen. They've happened recently, they happen often, they happen in big ways. But the average person who's on my feed, who's listening to this, probably isn't in one of those really, really extreme circumstances. You're probably just living out your life. You've probably never seen or directly experienced that kind of intense systematic racism. And I want to speak to you because I don't think that's the entire story. I think that the most power that we have to make a change happens in our day-to-day normal lives. And I also want to be clear that as a half Black, half Native woman, I have experienced tons of racism and tons of discrimination, even without it going that far. And I want to kind of shine a light on it because quite often the racism that we think of is extreme. It's segregation, it's violence, it's etc. But in reality and day to day, it's not quite that obvious. I relate this to like rape and sexual assault. And again, some people are violently raped and that, it's just so tough. But, I've been recently forced to recognize that I myself have experienced assault. And because it wasn't that violent experience, that extreme sudden experience, it was coercive and quiet and over time, that for a long time I said that didn't matter in the same way. And lo and behold, I'm finding that it does. It does impact me in major physical ways, and it's similar with racism. Like, I have never been beaten up or physically threatened, but I have had people, for example, make really nasty jokes to me about Native people, not realizing that I'm Native. I've had people turn to my husband, my father, or simply the white appearing person near me to get a second opinion or feedback because my perspective, I guess, was not valid enough. And I want to shine a mirror and a reflection. I'm not calling you a secret racist, whoever you are who's listening to this. I'm not trying to downplay the activism that you might be experiencing and, going to protests and posting black squares, although there's some problematic things around that and all that kind of stuff. I want you to look at your day-to-day life and just ask yourself, what am I doing to create equal opportunity? What am I doing to create a safe space for people to speak? And most importantly, what am I doing to honor and believe these people's experiences? Because I think that there's this tendency to kind of downplay it, especially if you're not experiencing it in your day-to-day life, So it's not always about the protests. It's about, how do you talk? Who do you talk to? What sort of memes do you post? This is a big one, it may seem like posting a meme, for example, about how you can't change behavior by changing laws might just be funny to you, or maybe even just not something you thought about at all because it was in a different context. But as a Black person, the law is the reason that I can go to school with white people, that I don't have to fear getting beaten up. And in fact, people are clamoring for more laws right now to make sure that the people who do that stuff can be persecuted. This is a bigger deal than it may seem to you. So, whatever your day-to-day looks like, I encourage you to just be aware, if nothing else, of the privileged backpack that you're wearing. Be aware that your experiences are not other people's experiences, and that Asian person, that Black person, that Native person that it's not a question of if, it is a question of when and how often they have experienced those kinds of things. And it has been said before, but I will say it again, if you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. Again, not trying to shame you or put you down. I just request that if you are looking for a way to make a difference and make an impact in this time and, contribute, it doesn't have to be further away necessarily than your own door, your own experience, your own day-to-day. So ask yourself, what can I do today, tomorrow, to make sure the people in my life have equal opportunity to speak, equal opportunity to act? What am I doing to just, help them understand and feel heard that their experiences are valid, that this is actually happening? And I really believe that it's in these gray areas that we can make a change, similar to in kind of the sex and rape and assault space. It's not just about like, don't rape people. Like, obviously don't rape people, but I think most people already know that, right? It's about taking no for an answer. If somebody says no or seems kind of reluctant or isn't quite sure, just be like, okay, cool, I respect that. Thanks for being clear. Move on. Don't try and like bug them. Or if a partner that you already are with is like drunk or in pain or going through an experience and is a little bit reluctant, just be like, sweet baby, that's great. I'm a little bit disappointed, but I respect your experience. And I really think that it's in these gray areas and these gray spaces that we can make a big difference and we can make a big change in a really positive and mutually empowering way.